What do you need to be happy? This is one of the oldest and most important questions that we as humans have. Today, we live in a world that largely teaches us that we need things in order to be happy or experiences. But is this really true? Commercials tell us that we won't be happy unless we own a fancy car or look a particular way. Social media basically teaches us that we're not actually happy unless our lives look like what we see the influencers' lives look like on TikTok or Instagram. But can money actually buy happiness? Will fame make you happy? If you have the experience you see on that social media app, will it actually fulfill you? And will that happiness last? Stoicism is a philosophy that basically teaches the exact opposite of this. Stoicism teaches that happiness does not come from the things that happen to us. Happiness comes from how we respond to the things that happen to us. Stoicism was a philosophy founded by a man named Zeno out of ancient Greece around 300 BCE. Zeno was a wealthy man, a successful merchant who sailed the Mediterranean trading his goods. But one day, a powerful storm destroyed his ship, and all of his goods sank into the sea. Left shipwrecked in Athens, everything he had was lost. Zeno's story is tragic, but unfortunately, it's extremely common. Think about how many versions of this story happen all around the world right up until this day. And that's because tragedy is an essential part of what it means to be human. We don't like to think about it, but suffering comes for everybody. This is the basis of Stoic philosophy. Stranded in Athens, Zeno studied the works of Socrates and was extremely inspired. He developed his own philosophy that attempted to deal with the reality of human suffering, and that philosophy is known as Stoicism. Stoicism is a philosophy that teaches that instead of hoping that things are going to turn out for us okay, we need to accept the reality of suffering ahead of time and accept ahead of time that terrible things are going to happen to us. That's because instead of dwelling on our fears and our anxieties, we should be focused on using our limited time to develop courage, to develop virtue, and to develop peace of mind. Stoicism believes in what are called cardinal virtues, the most important virtues for developing peace of mind. And the first one is wisdom. By wisdom, Stoicism means knowing what to do and what not to do. And perhaps just as importantly, when to do something and when not to do something. The second cardinal value is justice. Be fair to others and offer people grace, even if they've wronged you. Don't be petty. And the third cardinal value is courage. Be strong. Confront your fears ahead of time and accept the reality of suffering. The fourth cardinal virtue is temperance. And temperance is all about self restraint. It's about learning to control yourself and control your desires. Don't give in to every impulse and every appetite. By practicing these cardinal virtues, not only do we become better people, we develop mental strength, and through that, we cultivate peace of mind. Remember, Stoicism is built on the basic truth that we can't control what happens to us in life. We can only control how we respond to the things that happen to us. Stoicism is a powerful idea that has had a lasting impact precisely because it helps people become stronger and lead better lives. Modern psychology which is the study of the mind and how it works, and modern psychological therapy, has many ideas that are straight out of Stoicism. Many people have also pointed out that Buddhism, which originated in India on the other side of the world, shares a lot in common with Stoicism, because Buddhism, like Stoicism, attempts to confront and deal with the reality of human suffering. This shows that Stoicism is pointing to a universally shared human experience that cuts across cultural divides. No matter where you are on the planet, and no matter what time period you were born, suffering comes to us all. How do we confront that? How do we develop peace of mind in spite of that? Stoicism became very popular in ancient Greece, and it retained its popularity in ancient Rome, which came afterwards. Anyone could be a Stoic, whether one was high or low, rich or poor, because suffering is a universal human condition. Two examples of this can be found in Epictetus, who was a Roman slave, and Seneca, who was a Roman statesman. Despite the difference in where they came from in society, they both became important, influential Stoics. But perhaps the most famous and influential Stoic of all time was a man named Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome, serving from 161 to 180 AD. He is often considered one of history's best examples of what Plato called the philosopher king. He was a reluctant ruler. He actually would have preferred to be a scholar, but the people of Rome forced him to be their leader. As one of the most powerful men in the world, Marcus Aurelius knew better than almost anybody that power, wealth, and fame did not guarantee happiness. He spent much of his reign fighting in distant wars against Germanic tribes, far away from home. He suffered a lot of personal loss, especially through the death of his children. At night, alone in his tent, Marcus Aurelius would write in his diary. And even though nobody was supposed to be reading that diary besides himself, it was published after his death as the Meditations. And the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius is one of the most popular and influential philosophical works in history. In it, Marcus Aurelius reflects upon the importance of doing good deeds and being a good person. Quotations from the Meditations remain extremely popular even until this day. Here are some famous quotes that come straight out of the Meditations. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Think about how different of an idea that is that you normally see communicated in social media. Happiness is not dependent upon how many followers you have. It's not dependent upon what you own. It depends upon the quality of your thoughts. What do you think Marcus Aurelius meant by this? Here's another quote. Be tolerant with others, but strict with yourself. I love this quote because I think it's fair to say that most of us are actually the opposite. When we think about all the things that we've done wrong, all the ways in which we don't measure up, we always have a good reason. We have a very rational explanation as to why we're not measuring up. But with other people, we can be so intolerant. We can be so judgmental. Marcus Aurelius would argue that we have that exactly backwards. Why do you think he says it's important to be tolerant with others and strict with yourself? Another quote. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Again, this is a very unusual claim. Most people define strength as the ability to shape or control outside events. But here we have Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, one of the most powerful men in the world, saying that his strength doesn't come from his ability to control the world out here, but in the ability to control your mind. Why do you think Marcus Aurelius says that strength comes from the mind and not from your ability to change the world? Another one: the best revenge is to not be like your enemy. What do you think Marcus Aurelius meant by that? Another one: waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be one. Here again, we see the practical nature of Stoicism. It's not so much about debating ideas as it is about action. It is not death that one should fear, but one should fear never beginning to live. What do you think Marcus Aurelius meant by never beginning to live? For Marcus Aurelius, it is action that makes a person great. Being a good person is not necessarily about what's in your heart, it's about what you do. These quotations only represent a small sampling of the meditations, and the meditations are only a small part of the larger philosophy of Stoicism. Needless to say, both Stoicism and the meditations continue to inspire people right until this day. This concludes Lesson 5 of Big Ideas Throughout History.